This video is going to be over how to find the slope of a line in two different ways. Alright, well first of all we need to discuss what is slope. Well, slope is a number that describes the steepness of a line. And then the next slide we're going to do some interesting facts about slope. So the steepness of a line, how sharp a line is, what the arc of a line is, I guess you could say. I really call it the steepness. How tall or how steep. Just like think about going up a hill. How steep is that hill? That's what we're talking about with slope. Alright, now in this picture we use slope to measure the line's slant or the steepness. So again, slant would be the same as steepness. Okay, in this picture, the green, blue, and red lines all have different slopes. Okay, these are all different slopes because they all have a different slant or they all have a different steepness. And we're going to learn how to find what that steepness is. Now, if you're looking at these particular lines, these are some examples. On line number 1, if the line falls from left to right, this is a negative slope. Okay, it is a negative slope. Now I like to think of as you always start on the left. So if you have a person over here, they always have to start on the left. And the only way that this person can move, this person, if he's at the up here on the left, the only way this person can follow the line is if they go in a downward motion. So because they're going in a downward motion, it is negative. Okay, it's going from a positive. It's going from a positive up here all the way down, so that's called a negative slope. Okay, now if over here our person starts at the top of the line from the left and they move, the only way they can move is going up. So the only way they can move is going up. So this line is a positive line because that person can only walk up the line. So again, starting at the top of the line, if you're moving in a downward motion, it's negative. If you're starting on the line and you're moving in an upward position or an upward movement, that is a positive. Now, if you see a line that is straight across like this one, okay, this has a slant of 0 because does this line slant at all? I like to think of, if you were looking at this green line, there are no hills on this line. So it is flat. And because it's flat, there is no slant. And because there's no slant, the slope is 0. We don't say it has no slope, we just say that the slope is 0. Now when you're looking at a line that's going straight up and down, you would think that this line was the steepest of all lines because if you think of a hill, you would be going straight up like a mountain. But when you have a line that is straight down, it is considered no slope. And you know what? You're going straight up in the air, so there's no slant at all. So it is no slope. So a horizontal line is like a flat land. I always think of a flat surface. So it's 0, and a vertical line has no slope at all. It is called undefined. Alright, let's practice here. Let's decide if this is a negative slope or a positive slope. So I'm going to give you a second to think about that. Well, okay, if we draw our little person, I know this is silly, but this is the only way sometimes I can remember. Draw our little person. If he's starting at the top of the line, he can only move in a downward motion. So because he can only move in a downward motion, it is a negative slope. If our person starts on the left again, okay, and he starts down here at our line, and he moves this way following the line, that is a positive movement, so that is a positive slope. All right, now, how do we find slopes? So now we have decided, we've learned that there are positive slopes and there are negative slopes. But how do you put a number or a value to our slope? Well, slope is found by counting the spaces for rise over run. So rise means up or down, and run means side by side. So where rise is the vertical change and run is the horizontal change, because rise is up and down and run is horizontal. So if we're looking at this graph right here, you need to first of all pick a point that is exact. So if it's exact, that means it actually goes through an intersecting line. That's an exact point. That is an exact point. This is not an exact point. That is not an exact point because it's not crossing where the lines intersect. So we want to pick points that are exact. So we can go ahead and pick our exact points. So this is an exact point, this is an exact point, and this is an exact point. Well, because our slope is rise over run, you pick one of these points, and we're going to rise first. We're going to go up. So we're trying to get to this second point here. So we're going to go up. So we're going to go up 1 point, 2 points. So our rise equals 2. And then to meet that point, we have to go over 1. So our run equals 1. So our slope is 2 over 1. Now if you keep going, like in this picture shows it run over rise, and if you want to do it that way, that's fine, but you just need to put it in the equation correctly, run being on the bottom, rise being on the top. But you can keep going up, 2 over 1. If I went 2 over 1, this is our next point, and I could keep going and going and going because our slope, or the slant of our line, it increases linearly, meaning the same each time, and so it would increase 2 over 1 each time. So that is our slope. Let's try a different one. Okay, this one is again rise over run. So here's our 2 points here, A and B. So to get, you can either do from A to B or B to A, it doesn't matter. If this is, I want to show you this because this is kind of tricky. If you go from A to B, you're going down first. So you're going down 1, 2, 3. So if you're going in a downward motion, that is -3. And then we're moving in the positive direction to get to B. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So our slope is -3 over 4. Now, if we went from B to A, so from B to A, we're going to go up 1, 2, 3. So we're going to rise a +3, and then we're going to move in the negative direction because on our number line to move this way means to move negative. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So -4. So the first one is -3 over 4, and the second one is +3 over 4. But they mean the same thing. So you can just say the slope equals -3/4. Okay? So the negative sign could just be in the middle here. It does not have to be indicated by either number. Because if one of them is positive, the entire thing is positive, or negative. I'm sorry. If one number is negative, you just say -3 over 4, or -3/4. But just remember, whatever motion you move, so this, if you're moving upward, it's positive. If you're moving down, it's negative. If you're moving to the left, it's negative. If you're moving to the right, it's positive. And that's how you know whether or not your numbers are positive or negative. That's how you would know. So that's the first way to find slope, is to count it on the graph. Now this works best when the points are exact. If the points are not exact, it's very hard to find slope in this way. Now let's practice here. Now we first need to find where our point intersects evenly. So here's a place where our point intersects a line. Where's the next place it intersects? Well, next place is right here. So we need to get from this point to this point. So we first need to do rise over run. So our rise is positive 1, 2, and our run is a negative 1. Okay, so our slope equals negative 2 over 1, which you do not have to say 2 over 1 because 2 over 1 just equals 2. So we can just say our slope is negative 2. Let's try another one. Well, here our point intersects here, and our point intersects here. So we need to do rise over run. So we're going to go rise 1. We're going to go run 1, 2, positive 2. So our slope equals 1 over 2. Now again, if you went up 1 and over 2, there's our next point. Okay, let's try this one. Intersects here and intersects here. Rise over run. Now let's do it this way. We're going to go 1, 2. So our rise is negative 2, and our run is a positive 1. So our slope is negative 2 over 1, which is still negative 2. So this time we did this one, we started at a different point. The first time we started at the bottom point and went up. Okay? The second time we started at the top point and went down. So the slope is still the same no matter what point you start at. You just have to remember that if you're going down, it's negative, and if you're going up, it's positive. Alright, now, the second way you can find the slope is using the slope-intercept form. And the slope-intercept form just states that equations have to be in this form. Y first equals mx plus b, where mx is the slope and b is where the line intersects with the y-axis. So m is the slope and b is where it intersects with the y-axis. So if you're looking at this equation, y equals mx plus b, here is an equation in that form. The y is first, you have a number and then an x and then another number. So in this case, 2/3 is the slope and 4/5 is the y-intercept. Okay, so in this case, on the next side, -4 is the slope and +9 is the y-intercept. And over here I forgot to mention that your negative sign has to go into your y-intercept. So this means that 2/3 would be the slope, so that's how many times you go up and over, and here is where it intersects with the y-axis. Okay, here's the slope, and here is the y-axis where it intersects. So when you're looking at an equation, if I say, what is the slope of the equation y equals 2/3 x minus 4/5? Well, the slope is always this number right here first, mx plus b. So this is y equals mx plus b. So this is always the slope. Now, what if your equation is not in this form, y equals mx plus b? Here, our equation says 4x plus 3y equals 12. Well, it's not in this form. So now we have to put it in that form. So we need to solve for y. So we want to get y by itself. So we need to move our 4x. So we're going to subtract 4x from both sides. Remember, with an equation, you have to subtract things from both sides. You cannot combine these terms here because they're not like terms. One is a whole number and one is a number with a variable. So we're left with 3y equals 12 minus 4x. Well, here it has to be mx plus b. So what I want to do is I want to put my x first. So I'm going to put negative 4x plus 12. We need to get rid of that 3, so we're going to divide by 3 on everything. So this equals y equals negative 4 over 3 plus 4. So now this is our equation. So our equation reads y equals negative 4 over 3 x plus 4. So that's our new equation. So now that is in slope-intercept form, we can figure out what's the slope and what's the y-intercept. Well, this is the slope and this is the y-intercept. Over here, this is not in slope-intercept form either. So we need to get rid of this 6x, so we're going to minus 6x from both sides. So we're left with 4y equals negative 6x plus 16. We need to get rid of this 4 because we want our y by ourselves. So we're left with y equals negative 6 over 4 plus 4. Now, you can reduce the 6 over 4 because they have factors in common. So negative 6 over 4, you would divide both sides by 2, which becomes 3 over 2. So we can say y equals negative 3 over 2 plus 4, where this is our slope and this is our y-intercept. Hopefully this is not too confusing for you. Alright, now, what if we say write an equation given m and b? So we're given this is our slope, and we're giving our y. So, our y-intercept. So how do we write an equation like this? Y equals mx plus b. Well, our m is our 3, and our b is negative 5. So we would just put y equals 3x minus 5. That's in this form right here. If we're given m equals negative 3/8 and b is 1/4, y equals mx, m is negative 3/8 x, plus b 1/4. That's how you write an equation. Now, what if we wanted to graph a line if we knew the equation? Well, this is simple as well. Now, in our equation y equals mx plus b, this is where it intersects with the y-axis. So in our line, this is where it intersects with the y-axis, is negative 4. So on our graph, we're going to go negative 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then our slope is 5 over 3. So we're going to go rise over run. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. That's our next point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. Next point. Once you have a couple points, you can go ahead and draw your line. As simple as that. That's exactly how you would graph an equation or graph a line with just an equation. Let's try again. Here, our b y equals mx plus b. Here's our b, here's our slope. So we're going to start at -4 again. Now our slope does not have a rise over run, but we need to make it rise over run. Now to make a whole number a fraction, you just put it over 1 because it doesn't change. So now our rise is 2 and our run is 1. So we're going to go 1, 2, 1. 1, 2 over 1. Up 2 over 1. Once you have that done, you can graph your line. One more. Here we have our b is plus 5, so we're going to go up here to 5. Our slope is -2 over 3, so we're going to go down 2 over 3. Down 2 over 3. Now why don't we go down 2 and then down 2 over 3? Down 2 over 3. Because if you have two negatives, it makes a positive. And here says our slope is a negative slope, so that means our line has to look like this, going negative. Okay, so that's how you know whether or not to do two positives or two negatives or only one negative. So once you have your line points graphed here, you can connect your dots. Now let's do a quick review. Find the slope of the y-intercept if the line given is the equation y equals 2x minus 6. Go ahead and press pause and try it, and when you're finished, come back and check your answer. Now that you're back, find the slope of y-intercept. Find the slope and the y-intercept. Well, if this is our equation, 2 equals slope, -6 equals the y-intercept. Write an equation where m is -4 and b is 5. Well, y equals -4x plus 5. Write an equation using the graph. Well, our equation has to be mx plus b, so our y-intercept is b, so we're going to do that first. It intersects our y line here at -1. Our slope to get here would be up 2 over 1, so 2 over -1 equals y. So y equals -2 over 1 x minus 1. So you could write y equals -2x minus 1. There's our equation. Here, we're going to graph. Remember, we're going to start out with negative. So 1, 2, 3, -3. Then we're going to go up 3 over 4. Up 3 over 4. Okay, and there is our line. Hopefully this has helped you understand how to find slope. If you still need help, you can watch the lesson again or look at the written lesson in your classroom, or contact your teacher for help.